All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. We're so glad that you could be joining us today. My name is Stephanie, and I will be one of your co-hosts for today's webinar. Now, this webinar is part of our larger BrainHQ Academy series, where we talk about the neuroscience behind different topics. So today's topic is a very exciting one. We are going to be talking about how pets can promote brain health. So let's take a look at the agenda for today. So we are going to start off with a little bit of an engagement activity where we are going to ask you all to jump into the chat and write your responses. So when we get there, there's going to be a question on the screen, and you're going to want to press the chat button on the Zoom control panel to bring up the chat box where you can type in those responses, and we'll read them off as they come up. Following that, Dr. Kyu Lee is going to be giving a presentation on pets and brain health. Dr. Kyu Lee is a newcomer to the Academy webinar series, and we're very excited to have her here joining us today. Dr. Kyu Lee earned her PhD in cognitive psychology at the University of Iowa. Dr. Lee's research interests have brought her to study how much cognitive training affects everyday skills and abilities. She joined Posit Science in 2011 as a principal investigator, where she designed and administered study protocols and then analyzed behavioral data and interpreted those study results. She is now a senior research scientist here at Posit Science. Kyu, it's really, really great to have you joining us today and for hosting this presentation today.
I'm so excited having a presentation and talk about brain health and pet.
Yeah. Then following that presentation, Kyu is going to be joined in conversation with Catherine Lin. Hey, Kat, how are you doing? Oh, I think you're muted, Kat. Sorry about that. And it looks like Kat is being joined by a very big boy. I believe that's Henry there. Let me go ahead and give a brief introduction to Kat here. Kat is a dedicated registered nurse with over 40 years of extensive experience in critical and emergency care. With a lifelong passion for animals, she has transitioned her focus to the incredible benefits of animal-assisted therapy. Her therapy dog, Henry, which we can all see there, is a certified therapy dog who brings joy and comfort to countless individuals year-round. Now, together, they are active members of the Timber Knolls Spirit Cove Newfie Therapy Organization, which is a nationwide group dedicated to using Newfoundland dogs for therapeutic purposes. So, Kat, it's really, really great to have you and Henry joining us today.
Thank you. It's really, really wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Following the discussion between Kyu and Kat, we are going to have an open Q&A session. So if at any point during the presentation you have a question, feel free to press the Q&A button on the Zoom control panel and type in your questions there. I will do my best to curate those questions and group them together so we can answer as many of those questions as we can. Now, the other thing that I wanted to note is that today's webinar is being recorded and will get posted to our YouTube channel in the coming days. So if you'd like to be notified when that video goes live, you can go to youtube.com/brainhq. All right, so let me go ahead and open up the chat feature for everybody because I want you all to start chatting with us and tell us, what silly nicknames do you have for your pets? So we have this lovely comic from Scott Metzger cartoons called Nickname Support Group, and we can see a cat saying, "I went from Charlie to Chuck to Sir Chuckles McFurry Pants," and then another dog coming in and saying, "That's nothing. I was Coltrane, then Train, and now they call me Chugga Chugga Woo Woo." I think this is a common thing among pet owners. So if you have any silly nicknames for your pets, go ahead into the chat and let us know what silly nicknames you have for your pets. So we do have a couple coming in. The classic one, Tracy says, Fluffy Butt. Very, very applicable to fluffier animals for sure. Sweetie Pie, Cutie Pig. Adonis has been shortened to Don or Donnie. Looks like somebody has a pet named Luna that they call Looney or Lulu or Louie. Ellie Belly. So all these wonderful, wonderful nicknames. I know my previous dogs that I have lived with, we had one named Samwise that we nicknamed Sammy for short, and then that every iteration therein. So we had Sammy Boy, Sam Boy, Me Babo. We would even sing Danny Boy, but to Sammy Boy, and go Sammy Boy, the pipes are calling. So lots of nicknames there. Oh, there's a cute one. Somebody named their pet Baloo, and it became Boo Boo and Mr. Baloo. Ruth is Ruthie and Ruthless. Lucy is Juicy Lucy. Chica is Chica Poo. Oh my gosh, all these names are so great. Doodle Bop, that's a fantastic one. I'm seeing so many lovely nicknames for all these animals out here. I'm assuming that a lot of these are going to be cats and dogs, but there are probably going to be some benefits to having other different furry or scaled friends in your lives too. Toby became Toby-Wan Kenobi. That's so good. Evelyn, you are my people. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the chat open. And if you guys want to keep continue putting in your silly names, I will call them out the next time I come back up on camera. But I do want to go ahead and toss it over to Kyu, who can start her presentation on, why pets are good for brain health.
Great. Let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see the presentation, Stephanie?
Yep, I can see it. You
Okay.
are good to go, Kyu. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I'm so excited to be here and talking about how pets can promote our brain health. So about estimated 68% of US households have a pet. And I have two boys, 11 and 8 years old. They keep asking for pets. So they started with a dog. It's a typical choice. And I said no, and they're going to cat, and then turtle, and axolotl, and skink, and fish. And now they're asking for a pet ant. Somehow they think that the size matters, but I keep saying no, saying like, I already have two pets, you, Jae and Jae-jun. But as a previous pet owner, I know the benefit of pets. They provide unjudgmental companionship, love, and joy and support. But that is not the full story. Pets also provide physical, mental, and brain health benefits. So here's the short roadmap about my presentation today. So although the title is about how pets promote brain health, I want to start with how pets promote our body and mind health first, because as the title says, everything is connected. Our brain is part of our body. So what is good for our body is also good for our brain. So we're going to talk about the health benefit of pets and their mechanisms, why and how pets are beneficial to our mind and body. And then move to the studies showing the benefits in the scientific way. And first check the child development, the benefits for the pet, and then followed by older adult cognitive health. So it's recently that studies have begun to examine the scientific benefits of the human-animal bonding. And the research shows that the pet can help us live a healthier life. Pets lower our blood pressure and improve heart health. So how do we measure? We measure the blood pressure and the heart rate in the conditions that the baseline between pet owners and non-pet owners. And the result shows that the relative to people without pets, people with pets had significantly lower heart rate and blood pressure in their baseline when they're doing nothing, resting state. And even when they're in the stressful situation, like the researchers asked them to solve the math problem or put a cold ice pack on their arm, it's a stressful situation. The pet owner shows the last increase, small increase from the baseline in their heart rate and blood pressure, and also shows the faster recovery from the stressful situation. And this benefit is higher when their pet is present with them compared to not present with them. And pet also help us to manage our stress. Research shows that the interacting with animal has been shown to decrease the level of cortisol, which is stress-related hormone. And also, animals can reduce our loneliness, boost our mood. Well, there's some health benefit, mind and body as well. Then what is the mechanism? What is the magical power of pets? How can pets help us to live healthy life? There are a few candidates. First is that the pets can help us to increase our physical exercise. Studies show that especially the dog owners are far more likely to meet their daily exercise requirement. When you visit the doctor's office, doctor, routinely ask, how many times you exercise, how long you exercise. There's a required exercise amount. And dog owners are highly likely to meet that requirement because they have to walk their dog. And if that is walking dog is good for your dog, but also good for your body health. And cats help us meet new people, and social interaction is really important factor for our health. If you're a dog owner, you are frequently stop and talk to each other. So somebody on your dog walking or hiking or in the dog park. And pet owners likely to meet new people in pet stores or in the training classes. And pet also reduce our anxiety. The companionship of an animal can offer comfort and also help ease anxiety and build self-confidence for people anxious about going out into the world. And finally, pets allow us to add structure and routine to our life. So if you're especially a dog owner, they're required to be fitted, required to go out for exercise, walk, and that adds the regular routine to your life. So it doesn't matter of your mood when you're depressed or anxious or stressed, you have to get out of the bed and you have to feed your dog and you have to walk your a dog or other animals and all have to care for them. So that is give you the structure of your life. And the scientific study shows the benefit of the pet in the child development. So this study is targeted the children with attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder. They're having issues with their attention behavior. And the researchers enrolled 2 groups of children with ADHD and gave them 12 weeks group therapy and teach them the behavioral modification techniques and social problem solving techniques so they can adapt better in the environment. And there are 2 groups. First group asked the kid to read a book to a therapy dog. And another group read the same book to a puppet, just dog-looking puppet. And after the 12 weeks therapy session, asked their parents report improvement in children's social skill and behavior. And in both groups, the parents reported improved behavior and social skills. They don't go through the 12 weeks training session, so that's expected. But interestingly, kids who read the book to a real dog showed better social skills and more sharing, cooperation, and volunteering. So the activity reading a book to the real dog actually helped ADHD kid to go through their behavior and improve their behavioral problems. Another study with the children is found in the autism spectrum disorder study. So children with autism spectrum disorder, they experience high rate of social stress and anxious arousal. So they have feel stressful when they're around their peer group and free play with their peer groups. So in this study, researchers enrolled 64 autism spectrum disorder children and also 128 typically developed peer group and measure all kids anxious arousal level using a skin conductance level. They measure the arousal level in 4 different situations when they're doing nothing, just reading book quietly, and also in the structured classroom situation, and free play with peers in the playground with toys. And the last group, free play in the playground with peers with an animal. In this case, they use the guinea pig because it's small, and manageable. And they measure the anxiety level of these children. And compared to the typically developed peer group, autism spectrum disorder group shows the high anxiety level in all conditions, except when children are spent their free play in the presence of the guinea pig. So the presence of the animal somehow helped the autism kids to get relaxed. And the children also had a better social interaction with their peer and more engaged with their peer groups. So animal may act as a social buffer for children with autism spectrum disorder. And studies also shows that pet ownership may all have a protective against cognitive decline in older adults. And in this study, researchers examined the association between sustained pet ownership and cognitive performance in older adults. So they recruited 1,369 older adults, average age of 65, and having a normal cognitive skill in their age. And measured how many are pet owners, how many are non-pet owners, and about 63 were pet owners, and 32 were longer-term pet owners who has the pet more than 5 years. And the researchers measure the older adults' cognitive ability at the baseline at the beginning of the study and after 6 years. So see any changes from those 6 years. And the task that they used for the cognitive performance, ability testing was really simple. First one was a subtraction. So starting with a certain number like 100 and ask the participant to count down by 7. So you can do it together. 100, 93, 86, 79, 72. So measure the timing and accuracy of that mental arithmetic performance. And the second task, even simpler, numeric backward count, starting from a certain number and ask them to count backward. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the word record task to measure the memory. So give a list of words, in this case, face, velvet, church, daisy, and red. And ask to recall as many words that you just heard as possible to measure the immediate memory. And after 30 minutes, ask them to recall the word that you listened to measure the longer term memory. And the result, over 6 years, cognitive score of the older adult decreased. That is the natural thing, that natural aging process. But interestingly, the decrease was a slower rate in pet owners. And when compared to the short-term and longer-term pet owners, the difference was strongest among longer-term pet owners. So having a longer-term pet has a more benefit on your cognitive health. And that might be because longer-term pet owners might have more and longer opportunity to interact with pets and potentially magnifying the benefits from the pet ownership. And another study demonstrated that actually pet ownership can change our brain, have a beneficial impact on our brain. So in this study, they compared the brain structure, the size of the brain between pet owners and non-pet owners. And with aging, our brain shrinks. It's a natural thing. Like we are losing muscles when you get older, our brain muscles also decrease. So we're going to get a smaller and smaller brain with advanced aging. But when compared to non-pet owner and pet owners was having a relatively larger brain structure than non-pet owners. And this effect was largest for dog owners and the pet owners having more than one pet. So this figure here, they created the brain age. That is the difference between the chronological age, the age, and the predicted age calculated by the brain structure size and also the behavioral performance, cognitive performance. And 0 means that my chronological age and the predicted age is the same. And negative means that my predicted age is younger than my chronological age. So that's a good thing. My brain is younger than my chronological age. And the non-pet owners about the 0, so they're matching their chronological age and predicted age. But pet owners and dog owners and the pet owners more than 2 pets shows the much younger brain predicted age. And about this 2 more pets, more than 1 pet having more benefit, there might be because having more than 2 pets might require additional cognitive resource to juggle between 2 pets and the responsibilities, and also understand the unique needs of each pet. So it's more challenging task than having just 1 pet. So it's more like challenging cognitive training. So that might be the reason of the benefit of more than 2 pets. And another study shows that the pet owners had a lower risk of dementia. And this study is done in Japan. So the Tonikuchi and his colleagues collected 11,164 older adult data in Japan. And they defined dog and cat ownership either as currently having a pet, either a dog or a cat, or previously had a cat or never had a cat. So we have 2 categories, current pet owners or past and never pet owners. And they did a follow-up study 4 years. So after 4 years, they go back to all those 11,194 older adults and check whether they are having a dementia or not. And the 4-year follow-up study shows that the current dog owners had less chance of having dementia compared to past and never owners. So pet ownership actually have some kind of protective power for the risk of dementia. So I keep talking about dogs. So if you are cat owners, you might wonder, what about cats? Is there any benefit in our cognitive health dementia prevention in cats? So the Japanese study compared the pet owners and dog owners, if there's any difference between those 2 groups in terms of the benefit in preventing dementia. And unfortunately, cat ownership did not demonstrate protective factors against the risk of dementia. But if you're a cat owner, don't be disappointed too quickly. There are studies done in Australia that cat owners may have fewer mood disorders such as depression and anxiety. So there's a definitely benefit from having a cat as you're in your family. So you might wonder, so how does pet ownership lead to cognitive health? What is the magical power of pets in our brain? And it goes back to the first slide about the mechanisms of how pet is beneficial to our health. So it's this similar story. It's actually connected. So the companion animal can increase our physical activity, which could benefit our cognitive health. So if you're physically active, that actually is really beneficial to our brain health. And if you're a dog owner, you have to walk your dog, and that increases your physical exercise, and that helps your brain health as well. And stress is one of the main factors that negatively impact cognitive health. And with the dogs or cat or other companion animals, the potential stress buffering effect might help your brain health as well. And animals can reduce loneliness and also increase the feeling of social support. And the social support is also a very important factor for your brain health. So if you walk your dog or play with your pet and their pet friend and somebody who owns another pet, that improves your social interaction, and actually that helps to your brain health as well. So we learned that pet is really good for our body, mind, and brain. So you say like, okay, that's good. So I'm gonna have a dog. But that's not the end of the story. Having a pet, why the pet is good for your body, mind, and brain is because of the other activities that comes with the pet. We're getting a benefit from the pet because we're more physically active with the pet. We're more socially engaging with the pet. We're less stressful, less lonely, more socially engaging with the pet. So the research shows that even in the dog owners with regular physical exercise routine and active social interaction have more benefit from than the other dog owners without physical exercise or no social interaction. So you have to think about that. The reason that pet is beneficial is not because I have a pet in my household, but because you are doing physically more active, socially more engaging, and feel less stressful and get some emotional support from the pet. That is the main drive of the pet's benefit of your health, both mind, body, and brain. But there are some group of people who cannot have their own pets because of, various situation, like you're in the hospital or in a nursing home. So for these people, animals are sometimes brought into hospitals or nursing home to help reduce their stress and anxiety. And as we said, pets are really, really good at read our emotion, read our tone, read our gestures. So they're prone to attune to our emotion and read and give us support. So they are really doing a great support to those people who cannot have their own pet. And I know Kat is going to talk about the therapy animals, and so excited to listening about details about that. So the conclusion is really clear. Pets are good for our body, mind, and brain health because they provide companionship, reduce stress, encourage physical activity, and improve our mood and emotional well-being. And I'd like to wrap up my presentation with a picture of our project families and their pet families. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Kyu, for the presentation. Definitely learned a lot, and I hope that everybody in the audience did as well too. So let's see. Let's go ahead and move on to the discussion portion. So it looks like we have Kat and Henry with us. So like I said earlier, Kat is a dedicated registered nurse and has transitioned her focus to the benefits of animal-assisted therapy. And we can see Henry there, her therapy dog, who is a certified therapy dog. So Kyu and Kat, there's definitely some questions that people have had in the audience, but for those of you that have questions and haven't typed them in yet, go ahead and get them in. I'll be sure to ask them after the discussion. Kyu and Kat, feel free to take it away.
Oh, well, hi, Stephanie. Thank you so much for having us coming in today. Like you said, this is Henry. He is a 7-year-old Newfoundland dog, which is a breed that originated in Newfoundland, Canada, the northeastern provinces of Canada. They are a working breed with the AKC. They're natural lifesavers. They are water rescue dogs where they were used to kind of help the fishing industry. They're big, strong swimmers, big, strong pullers. They would rescue people that would come off boats. They would haul equipment, haul fishing nets. They would haul wagons to market. And at the end of the day, they'd go home, and their most important job would be they would be the family pet and the babysitter. So they are working dogs by nature. Newfoundlands are bred first and foremost for their temperament. Even though they're a giant breed dog, they are wonderful, very kind, very intuitive, very people-centric animals, and that's why they've had such huge success in the therapy realm.
Yeah, that was actually one of the questions that we got early on. So what specifically about Newfoundlands primes them to be great therapy animals? And it seems like temperament is a big part of that.
Temperament is a huge part of that. And it's the primary part of our breed standard with the AKC. Is temperament is actually the hallmark of the breed. They're bred for this face and for this big heart that they have. And because of that temperament, they're really, really people centric. They are very dedicated to their family, and they're very dedicated to humans as a whole. They're not the kind of dog that wants to like live out in your backyard. They're the kind of dog that wants to live on your couch, live in your bed. They always want to know where their families are. And they're very, very in tune with humans. Because of that, you'll see them going up, that they can walk through a room full of people and they'll sit next to somebody who's perhaps having a sad day or a stressful moment. Somehow they're able to they're very intuitive and they want to help people. So combined with their natural people skills, they're just actually the very best therapy dogs there are.
Fantastic. Kyu, did you have any questions that you wanted to ask of Kat?
Oh, yeah. So, well, I want to hear about some more detailed experience, the Henry as a therapy dog, because I've never seen therapy dog. Actually, I saw the articles and read articles, but not actually see how the therapy dogs act, how they relieve the stress of the patients or the other another group of people who need the help from the therapy dog.
We right now, Henry is very active at Princeton University. We're part of a Newfoundland therapy team that goes there, where we help some of the students with stress around exam weeks, moving in, moving out. As you can understand, the kids are really very highly stressed. They're also far from home and missing their own dogs. They really gravitate toward, we have the Newfoundlands there. We're also there on call for when if there's a negative occurrence or something happens with stressful for the children, then we're able to respond to that. Henry also does work with private patients, also with senior citizens in housing, in hospitals, and with children. Henry is very, very good with young children, and he helps with kids being calm during procedures.
Yeah, that's interesting because I only think the therapy dog in the hospital or the nursing home environment, but in the university or school, they can be very beneficial. And that reminds me of my situation. My 11-year-old boy, when he finished the 5th grade, asked the teacher, when is the best moment of your 5th grade period? And almost everybody in his classroom says when the teacher brought the teacher dog to the classroom, that acts like a therapy dog to the kids. So the dogs and the animals can be used as a therapy dog, even though they don't require that specific treatment, anything like that, but can be used in a natural situation.
They're also really they're used very extensively in libraries and with children's reading programs, because as you mentioned in your presentation, children who are especially socially awkward, they feel uncomfortable, they won't read to other grown-ups, they won't read in a crowded setting, but they will read to the dogs. So they will lay with the dogs, and the dogs are very quiet, very good listeners, very non-judgmental. Also used very extensively now with the autism spectrum community as anchor dogs, because they're very big, sturdy, warm, fluffy dogs, who again, very calming, very intuitive with the autistic community and all of the special needs community. As a fact, we did a demonstration at the Museum of the Dog in Manhattan earlier this past year. And part of what we did there was interacted with a group of special needs adults who had come in, who really gravitated toward the dogs and experienced a really wonderful healing kind of a session with a woman who was in particularly sad because she had lost her husband recently. So she was able to grab onto Henry and cry with him and let him know. She was able to talk to him and communicate all her feelings to him. And he was of a huge help to her. When she got up, she actually even verbalized that, I can't believe what a difference, how much better I feel with after talking to Henry for this half hour. So just their presence alone is amazing.
Yep.
And so, Kat, we have a couple questions. People are wondering sort of what the certification process is for getting a dog certified to be a therapy dog.
There's quite a bit of training that goes into it. Most of it is 6 weeks or 8 week courses, which you can take sometimes more than one time. Part of the therapy dog certification is the dogs have to become used to people of all kinds of needs. They have to be able to deal with people with wheelchairs, with walkers, with crutches. So, because of that, we have to work pretty extensively with the dogs around those kind of assisted modalities so that they don't get startled if someone in a wheelchair comes up to them. We desensitize them to loud noises. For example, we drop stainless steel bowls onto like concrete floors because we stimulate behaviors and things that happen in real life. We have food sprinkled on the floor that the dogs are trained to walk away from. They're not allowed to take food from the floor. They don't even take food from other people's hands other than our hands. Because again, we don't want to have them in a situation where we're in a therapy session and somebody has a pill or a piece of food or something that the dogs know that they're not allowed to take food from anybody's hands other than my own when we go out someplace like that. And that's for the dog's safety. So there's a lot to be done with crowds. We practice in elevators. We practice with people who are very loud, making loud, scary, boisterous noises, because these are the kinds of people we meet, all kinds of people in all kinds of settings. So the dogs have to be able to be comfortable in each one of those settings. So we all take courses where we practice these things. We go out into the public and we practice these behaviors. And then when we're ready and we feel that our dogs are ready, then we contact an organization like Bright and Beautiful, where Henry is certified through. And there are tests that we have to complete with the dogs with certified examiners. And it'll be a 10 test process, for example, where they have to walk next to a stranger and with on crutches, and they have to walk past a food bowl, and they have to walk past somebody who's going like, oh, here's a cookie, here's a cookie. They have to pass all of these tests in order to be certified therapy dogs. So there is quite a bit of training that goes on to them.
Yeah, it definitely seems extensive, but it also seems like all of that training goes to good work and goes to a good purpose. Absolutely.
It does. And it's all geared for things that are environments and situations that we see in real life. Virtually every therapy session we've ever been on, we'll see somebody in a wheelchair or on crutches or riding skateboards nearby or somewhere at the university, or ambulances that'll make big noises, or people who drop things on the floor. There's always a helpful person who'll want to say, oh, I've just got a little treat for the dog. And we have to explain to them politely that the dogs aren't allowed to take treats like that from them because they take special diets and that. So all of these testing is done because these are all real situations we see in real life.
Yeah, Q, did you have another question?
Yeah, I'm actually a cat lover. I used to have many cats when I grew up. So cat is therapy dog, but I rarely hear about therapy cat. So is there a therapy cat that can be brought to the nursing home or hospital to
There are many kinds of therapy animals. There are people who have therapy ponies. There are people who have therapy pigs, Vietnamese potbelly pigs, or the smaller pet pigs that people have. Any kind of an animal can be a therapy animal, and there are certification processes for them to go through as well. The organizations that we go through specialize in therapy dogs, but there are therapy animals of all shapes and sizes, including horses. There are people who have brought horses into hospital settings so that they can see people, they can see their people who are in hospice, who are dying, who are ill, uh, just like that. So, but right now for us, we just stick to dogs right now.
Yeah. So I wonder in the hospital or nursing home situation, because of the patient condition, do you do any caution on like an allergic reaction, possible allergic reaction of the patient to dogs? Is there any treatment that dog has to go through?
Any treatment that the dog has to go through? No.
Or any caution?
All of our dogs, before we go anywhere, all of our dogs are always bathed. They're always well groomed. We never bring dirty or unwashed dogs into places. And people know prior to our visits whether or not we're coming into the facility with dogs. So it gives people an opportunity that if they have a dander allergy or a dog hair allergy, that they have an opportunity to opt out, or they can view our dogs from inside their rooms and they can watch us go by and still even experience the benefits of looking at the dogs even without physically interacting with the dogs. We, for example, may be in a day room where there are a lot of people who want to interact with the dogs, but it doesn't mean that people who can't walk nearby and still watch the interactions without having to get up close and personal and get the drool and the hair and all that stuff.
Okay, good. Actually, for me, when I grew up with many pet dogs and cats, and to me, when somebody asks what is the saddest moment of your life is when my dog died. So for many pet owners, pet lovers, for them, um, pets give the support, emotional support, and is a mood. But the pet loss could be really big traumatic experience for them. So do you think that pet therapy or another pet could be the healer for that pet loss syndrome? Because I kind of hesitate to have another pet because I still like that it was the saddest moment of my life. I understand why people mourn, why do the funeral, not because of the dead person, because they left people. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can very much, even though you never can substitute for an animal, staying involved with animals is always really very important. And sometimes having even a younger animal when you're having a senior animal, knowing that that senior animal is coming closer to the end of its life, that younger animal can be there and learn from the senior animal and help with the transition through. And animals don't grieve the same way we do. When Henry's older brother passed away, Henry said goodbye, and Henry seemed to know that uh, his brother had passed away, and he was sad and he was grieving. Yet he was able to move on, and because he was able to move on, he helped our family with that moving on process. Otherwise, in another instance, part of our therapy team that we do at Princeton involves a dog that used to be a therapy dog for a senior citizen and a service dog for the senior citizen. And she passed away. And when she passed away, the woman, the dog got very depressed and lost her job. She didn't know what to do with herself. So they ended up bringing in another dog into the home, kind of like a therapy dog for their therapy dog. And it helped her dog actually deal with the grief that she was experiencing and the loss of her special person that she was affiliated to. Um, People and dogs, people and animals, you just find ways to help each other. And they resonate with you in a nonverbal way, but on such a deeper, different level than we do with the human to human interaction. It's different, it's profound, and I think it's something that really can't be imitated. It's a very special bond that you have with your animals. And in a therapy setting, when we go out with people, we hear so many people, they reminisce about animals that they knew as children. With senior citizens who are sometimes virtually nonverbal, they still come out of their shell and they'll start talking about animals that they had when they were children and animals that they knew that impacted them. Even though they're not really talking about much of anything else, they will start talking either to the dogs or about their dogs. Students, children, people who are far from home. Dogs are, or animals are a universal commonality that appeal to everybody on some level. And they're very non-threatening and easy to talk to. And I just think that they have a universal appeal, which makes them just wonderful for therapy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do want to continue encouraging folks in the audience to type in questions into the Q&A form. We do have quite a few questions to get through, but I want to try and make sure that we get through as many of them as we can. So if you have a question, get it in now. So we do have a couple of questions about we had already addressed people with allergies, like when you go to facilities, for example, like letting people know well ahead of time that there are going
We
to be
don't do
dogs there.
we don't do sneak attacks on people.
Yeah, exactly. But people are wondering what are some alternatives for people who want to do like animal therapy that maybe have like dander allergy or some sort of like dog hair allergy. Would like a poodle, for example, be like an alternative to that, or some sort of other kind of animal that you would think of?
There really are no true hypoallergenic dogs. It's really kind
Yeah.
of a marketing ploy. All dogs have skin, and all skin has dander. All dogs have hair, whether they're short hair or long hair. Um, as far as getting involved with animals, there are plenty of animals out there. There are plenty of species out there. If you react to cats, do therapy with a dog. If you react to dogs, do therapy with a potbelly pig or with a parrot or with any kind of animal that you don't react to. And if you do react to every kind of animal and you don't really know what else to do, get involved in a therapy organization and help volunteer and help coordinate the schedule. There's lots of ways you can get involved with therapy without having to even own a dog or care for a dog. Because they're clearly, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of maintenance. You can clearly see he's a double coated breed. He's a very heavily coated breed. He's a lot of grooming maintenance required for him. And if you don't want to do that, you can do short haired dogs. You can do other kinds of dogs or animals that don't even require any grooming. If you live in a small space and don't want to own a dog, you can still attend therapy sessions or you can work with therapy agencies and work with testing, work with training, work with scheduling, and be involved with therapy on many, many levels without having to have the commitment of owning and maintaining a dog.
Fantastic. And we had a couple of questions about breed specifics. I know we've been focused on Henry and Newfies or Newfoundlands, and we might be a little bit biased towards them. But are there other dog breeds that you have sort of found in your experience that work better as therapy animals, or are all dogs, you know, eligible to be trained as therapy animals and are good for therapy?
And all dogs, the thing you want to worry about with a therapy animal is temperament, even more so than physical ability. There are three-legged dogs. There are handicapped dogs. There are blind dogs. Our other dog Eddie is blind, and yet he still can do therapy work. There's all kinds of animals that can do therapy work. Um, Newfoundlands, in particular, that's why we work with the Timberknoll Spirit Cove group. It's a Newfoundland exclusive. They are really they really excel at therapy work. As a breed, they excel at therapy work. We have gotten so much feedback from them and so much feedback with the dogs. So that's why I pretty much have been working with the Timberknoll Spirit Cove people because the Newfoundlands lend themselves to really they're just wonderful, wonderful creatures.
Yeah.
They're very kind. They're very kind. They're very forgiving. Um, any dog
All
breed.
right. Yeah. Q, I actually do have a question for you from the audience here. Going back to one of the studies that you had mentioned in the presentation, we saw from one of those studies that there wasn't as much benefit to your health when you are exclusively a cat owner versus being a dog owner. Some folks were wondering if that has more to do with, you know, with it being a dog, you taking it out for walks, and so you're getting sort of that routine built in, or if there are other factors that that study may have offered why that difference is.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the main factor might be the physical exercise part. So physical exercise is really important for your health and brain health as well. But cat particularly doesn't require to walk. I love cats. I prefer cats than dogs, but cats are more like solo player. They don't want to go out walk with me. So having a cat lacks that part, physical exercise part. But as I said, there's other benefits. There's social, emotional support is another factor that we can get from the cat ownership. So don't be too disappointed. What you can do is having a cat and getting social support, the emotional support from the cat, and the exercise part, you can just go out and hit a gym and walk the town. You can fill up the part without your cat. Cat let do their exercise themselves, and you do your exercise, and you can fill that gap. So it's not a bad story. You still get a benefit from the cat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's also an important thing to remember in, so often we see, cats versus dogs. Are you a cat person? Or are you a dog person? Like you can just be an animal person and you're going to get benefits from any animal that you're interacting with.
Yeah.
So all pets are good pets. All right. So I think we have time for maybe one or two more questions. We started a little bit late, so if it's all right, I want to try and make up for some of that time and extend a couple more minutes. Um, oh, we have a question from Charlotte, and this is probably going to be more for Kat. But what are sort of your experiences with senior dogs, and how do you feel about senior citizens adopting senior dogs?
I love senior dogs. There's a fella laying on the floor right next to Henry named Eddie, who is he turned 11 yesterday. This is our blind dog. He's actually Henry's uncle. He is capable. He is willing. He is so smart. He has such a big heart, and he has so much to give and so much to offer. Eddie is just now starting on his therapy dog career at the age of 11. Um, Senior citizens and senior pets have a lot in common. I think it's a wonderful match, especially because not everybody wants the energy of a new puppy. Not everybody can do the training involved with a new puppy. Not everybody can do the physical requirements of chasing around and training and cleaning up after a new puppy. And there are so many senior dogs who have so much to offer. And I think that's a wonderful match for adoption for seniors and for senior dogs. There are even shelters that are doing dog rentals that you can actually go check a dog out like a library book, bring them back to your home, try them out for a couple hours. It gives the dog experience in people's homes, and it gives the people experience of having an animal in their life without the commitment to an animal. If you want an animal and you want to be around animals, there are so many ways to do it nowadays. There are so many ways to do it. And age or physical ability should not ever stop anybody from being able to interact or own or just love a pet of any kind. It's a great match, seniors and seniors.
Yeah, that's really lovely. All right. Q, do you have any final questions that you would like to ask Kat? And I will start the wrap-up procedure after.
No, not at this point. I got
Okay.
all answers. Thank you, Kat.
Yeah.
Thank you
Okay.
for having
So,
us.
yeah, of course. Thank you so much for being here. Let me go ahead and share a slide with some resources that Kat was gracious enough to forward to us. So Kat has mentioned Timbernal Spirit Cove, Bright and Beautiful Therapy Dogs. So these are all wonderful resources that Kat has forwarded to us, and we wanted to include those in case anybody had any follow-up questions. Kat, would you be able to just give like one quick bullet point about each of these organizations?
Timbernose Spirit Cove is Newfoundland only. They are based in North Carolina, and they are doing fantastic work all over the country, getting Newfoundlands out in places, meeting up with people who need them. Bright and Beautiful Therapy Dogs, Bright and Beautiful and Alliance of Therapy Dogs are certification bodies. They also do placement. They're great resources if you want to learn how to become a therapy dog or what kind of testing is involved. It gives you, on both of those websites, It gives you a lot of research. It tells you about the kind of training you need to do, and it gives you even samples of some of the kind of testing that we do. Newfoundland Club of America is just a wonderful website about these wonderful dogs, where it tells you more about all of the amazing things that this working breed is capable of doing. Falling off furniture. You're very good at falling off furniture.
Fantastic. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap up here. Once again, I wanted to thank all of you in the audience for participating, going through and seeing all those silly nicknames that you have for your babies. Was absolutely fantastic. And thank you all for sticking around with us. Again, apologies for the technical difficulties at the beginning there, but we're glad that you stuck it out with us. Now, our next two webinars, we have one on September 18th. It's going to be a BrainHQ office hours webinar, all about the attention exercises. That's going to be me and Henry walking you through the various attention exercises in BrainHQ. And then in October, Dr. Mana Atara is going to be joining us again as a webinar host, and she is going to be doing a presentation on how grief affects the brain. I know that's something that we touched on a little bit today, you know, when a beloved pet passes on, how that sort of affects your brain. And Mana's going to get even more in depth with that. And again, that'll be happening on October 16th. Now, the last couple of things that I want to say, our team would love to hear your feedback and experience with BrainHQ if you are an active BrainHQ user. I'll be sending out a follow-up email sometime next week with a link to a feedback form if you are interested in giving us feedback about BrainHQ or giving us feedback about this webinar series. We're always eager to learn more and figure out what we can do better. All right, Kyu, Kat, do either of you have any last parting words or advice that you'd like to share with the audience before we end?
Having a pet is good for your brain, but not just having a pet, being more active with the cat or a pet or a dog, and socially active, physically active, and mentally active is important.
All right. Kat, any last parting words?
Yeah, I want to encourage everybody to go on some of those links that we went on to. If you have an organization or a group, any kind of a get together, anything that you think could benefit from having therapy dogs in attendance, please reach out. All of those therapy visits are free. It costs nothing to the groups to have a team come in. Please avail yourself of that. You can schedule on any one of those websites. You can schedule for some therapy dog interactions to come. We've done corporate events where we've gone into corporations and businesses for employee mental health days. We've gone into schools for teacher mental health days, EMS and first responder at the firehouse mental health days, not just for patients, not just for hospice, but for everybody. If you want to bring some dogs into your place of work, please reach out to any one of those websites and schedule teams to come out. And once you experience the therapy dogs firsthand, you'll really see for yourself what benefits there are.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Kyu. And thank you once again, everybody in the audience, for attending. We will send that follow-up email sometime next week with a link to the recording. Until then, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.